And joining me now with some insight is a former U.S. attorney right here in Atlanta. Ken Alexander is now general counsel for Emory University. We're sitting here listening to this, and it sounds like, you know, he comes out really strong. I take responsibility for all the mistakes were made, and I take responsibility for them, but I didn't know about them. It sounds like he's taking responsibility and then not so.
Yeah, well, that was my take as well. It's very unusual to fire 8 U.S. attorneys at one time. I started in the Reagan administration as assistant U.S. attorney, was in the Bush 1 administration, left, came back as U.S. attorney in the Clinton administration. That covers about a 20-year span. I've just never heard of this happening. As far as his comments, the Attorney General, I think it was good he took responsibility. He's absolutely correct. Right. U.S. attorneys serve at the pleasure of the President, but something didn't seem to stack up here.
Yeah, now he is saying that the Chief of Staff, or Kyle Sampson, was sort of given the charge to look at the weak performers and point them out, and then I guess the possibility was to get rid of them. Let's take a listen to what he had to say, what he said about it, and then we'll talk about it.
There began a process of evaluating strong performers, not as strong performers, and weak performers. And so as far as I knew, my Chief of Staff was involved in the process of determining who were the weak performers, where were the districts around the country where we could do better for the people in that district.
Now, it seems that, again, you said it's unusual that 8 people. Is it unusual to identify who's weak and who's strong and then all of a sudden come up with 8 people around the U.S. In those roles who were not performing at least to by their standards?
Well, it's unusual to publicly disclose that. I think in any administration you've got weak and strong performers, and people are asked to leave at different times, but it's usually not done in such a public way. Yeah. So this was highly unusual. I've just never seen anything like it during my affiliation with the Justice Department. What
do you think the fallout is going to be? He again is taking responsibility for this, but there are people who are saying this is really his major challenge here, one that he might not be able to get over. Do you agree with that?
Well, that might be the case, and that's Congress's decision, obviously. I have a hard time joining together the idea that things go on in the Justice Department that the Attorney General doesn't know about. Right. That happens for sure, but when it comes to U.S. attorneys, these are presidentially appointed prosecutors in every district in the country, and I think in most administrations the Attorney General would know what happens. I take him at his word that he didn't know, but I think therein lies a problem if that's the case.
Now, I'm quoting here from a published report. One of the newspapers this morning said in early 2005, Harriet Miers, then the White House legal counsel, asked a Justice Department official whether it would be feasible to replace all United States attorneys when their 4-year terms expired, according to the Justice Department. The proposal came as the administration was considering which political appointees to replace in the second term. That was, and Dana Perino, this morning, the White House spokesperson, said yes, that was so.
Well, let's put it this way. If you change from Republican to Democrat to Republican, right, that's common practice. In the same administration, it's not common at all.
But all of them?
All of them. You know, all of them actually do change from administration to administration. I came in after the Bush administration. All or virtually all changed over. But in the same administration, you just really don't see that very often.
Right, when it's happening in the same administration.
The idea is basically this. When you're appointed as a U.S. attorney, it is a political appointment. You know, it's the President appoints you. But once you step through those doors in the U.S. Attorney's office, partisan politics should be left at the door. Yeah. And then you're representing justice. You're not representing a political party.
Now, there are people who are saying the only reason that did not happen is because it would tax the Justice Department too much. Otherwise, it may have been done. They may have gotten rid of as many people as they would wanted to.
Well, that would have been unfortunate. There are a lot of great U.S. attorneys who are sitting right now, and to see all of them go would have been a problem. And yeah, it'd be very taxing to the Justice Department.
Yeah, all right. Ken Alexander, a former U.S. attorney here in the Northern District in Atlanta, and also the chief legal counsel for Emory University. Thank you so much for joining us today in the CNN Newsroom.